All right, now we're just about to conclude the book of Exodus. I just want to show you something fascinating about the tabernacle, something which people don't necessarily recognize even when they go through the Torah in terms of its prominence and place within the overall Torah. So as we saw in the book of Exodus, these last 5 parshas deal with the tabernacle, that portable sanctuary in the desert that the Almighty gave the instructions over to Moses on how to design, and then it was built here in the book of Exodus. So the book concludes with the tabernacle working and the Almighty's presence dwelling there. That is in the book of Exodus. Now, I wanted to expand our understanding of the tabernacle by just getting a brief overview of its placement in the rest of the Torah. So here we are, the 5 books, and we just went through those 5 parshas in Exodus, and that deals with the building we just said. Then in the book of Leviticus, the 3rd book, God is now going to speak to Moses from within the tabernacle, no longer at Mount Sinai openly, but now within the tabernacle, and the first 8 parshas are going to cover God's communication to Moses from within, and primarily what he's giving over is the function, how to use the tabernacle. Here in Exodus, we just learned how to build it, and what the pieces or the various vessels that are going to be used within. In Leviticus, we're going to learn about the offerings and how do you interact with the tabernacle and the holidays and so on through these 8 parshas. And then in the book of Numbers, the 4th book of the Torah, the first 3 parshas are going to deal with the encampment, meaning we have 12 tribes of Israel. 3 tribes will dwell on either side of the tabernacle. It will be placed in the center, and as they journey through the desert, that's going to be the form of the encampment. So we have 5 parshas that deal with the building of the tabernacle, 8 that deal with primarily how to use it, and the communication within. And then in book number 4, Numbers, we have the encampment and how the Jewish people lived around the tabernacle. 5 plus 8 plus 3 is 16, which means the development of the nation of Israel, of which we have 31 parshas, 11, 10, and 10, over half of them deal with the tabernacle, right? So it really is key to understanding our development as a nation in terms of understanding its function and purpose. And just to make it even more compelling, over here in the book of Leviticus, the last 2 parshas, here we are, the last 2 parshas. Now, chronologically, these last 2 parshas in Leviticus were actually said historically at Mount Sinai. We'll cover these 2 parshas and their contents when we go through the book of Leviticus coming up. But chronologically, they occurred over here when we were at Mount Sinai. Now, one of the rules in the Torah is that the Torah does not necessarily go in chronological order historically. It'll put concepts in the right place, even if it's historically out of order. So that's why the Torah can do this, because that's the way it works. It was more important for these concepts, and you'll see why they fit in beautifully when we go through Leviticus. They're placed at the end of the book, but they'll fit in to the rest of the book, as you'll see. So look at this. From the beginning of the story of the building of the tabernacle all the way to its conclusion, when the entire camp of Israel is settled around it and we're now starting to journey, it's a grand total of 18 parshas. And as you recall, we have a grand total of 54 parshas throughout the entire Torah. And look at this. We have 18 parshas prior to the tabernacle, 18 parshas from beginning to the end of the tabernacle story, and then 18 parshas after the tabernacle. So the tabernacle literally is the middle third of the Torah. It's literally the centerpiece of the Torah. So there's so much we're going to have to understand about its purpose and the way it works and why it's so key to our success and fulfillment as a people in our relationship with God and to the rest of the world. But clearly it's something we have to put our attention on. And this is going to give us an understanding why Jerusalem and the Temple of Jerusalem is so important to us, because the Temple of Jerusalem, where the Western Wall now stands, that area is something which has been central to the Jewish people and is obviously going to be central, I should say, to our fulfillment as a people now. So that's something to keep in mind. And the tabernacle is literally the middle third of the entire Torah. And if I can sum it up in a nutshell, for now at least, I'll say that the tabernacle really expresses Judaism in essence, because we believe our goal is to bring the Almighty's presence down to this world, that we have the potential to use the materials of the universe to make a home for the Almighty to reside with us, so to speak. That would be the most remarkable thing, and that's what we actually achieved at different times throughout our history. Whereas other religions and ways of life sometimes look at fleeing from physicality in the material world, We believe we have the potential here to make this world a remarkably holy place. So keep that in mind as we go through the book of Leviticus and up through Numbers, and something we're going to have to understand as we go through the rest of the Torah, why the tabernacle literally seems to be at the heart of it all. All right, when we conclude a book of the Torah, we've concluded now the book of Exodus. We always conclude with these words in the synagogue at the service on Shabbat: Chazak, Chazak, v'nitz chazek, which in English means be strong, and may we be strengthened, because that's the purpose of Torah learning, is to give us more and more of a charge, more energy, more strength to fulfill our end of the deal and our specific unique purposes.